All right, so the Hangout is live. Welcome to the latest CADS chat. I believe this is episode number 7, and we've got a new person with us. We've got Sam or Samuel. Is it Samuel or Sam?
Whatever you like, mate.
No, but
Fred,
come on, which is Fred. All right, we're going to call you Bertie. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So Sam's with us. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself and tell people where you are?
Hi there. I'm Sam, lifelong Spurs fan, as most of us are here, and I'm English, but I live and reside in Cologne, Germany.
Okay. So yes, I'm Stuart, and I'm also English and a Spurs fan, but I live in Paris, France. So Marcel, where are you?
I'm in Belgium, but I'm not Belgian.
What a
And Andreas?
brownie,
Sorry, me? Sorry.
Yes, you.
Well, I am Danish and I live in Denmark for some reason. Well, almost a lifelong Spurs fan. So, yeah, and apparently the resident stat man. That's what I've been named anyway.
I'm just
Oh,
wondering,
good boy.
almost a lifelong Spurs fan. It's like your life did not start until you were a Spurs fan.
No,
Is that what it is?
exactly. My life was dull
Absolutely.
and uninspired until I found Spurs.
Or do you
Okay,
mean, or do you mean you're alive and you almost support Spurs?
I'm almost alive and support Spurs.
Right.
Oh,
well, there
this
we
is
go.
almost confusing.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so we've got a list of things we're going to go through, which we talked about, I'm sure. Now, I'll let everybody know that I have seen the Everton game and I saw the Leicester Cup game, but since the defeat against Newcastle, I have seen pretty much nothing else. I tried to watch the Leicester game last night, but I was unable to, basically due to crap internet connection. So could everybody go through the games and tell me what was good about them and what was bad about them and what did I
Where do we
miss, if
start?
anything? Well, I've got a list of games.
Yep.
We're going to start with Southampton 0, Tottenham 2.
Well, who goes first?
Whoever
Well,
speaks first.
I need to remember that one.
Well,
Yeah.
At
then
my age, it's a long time ago.
So
I
tell
can
your
remember that a bit. So,
Oh yeah.
as far as I remember, we didn't start off brightly, but we scored 2 goals in quick succession at the end of
Yep.
the first half. I think that was it. That was Kane's brilliant solo, and then Dele Alli scored from a walk across. And
Oh yeah.
the second half, you should say we managed the game very well.
Yep.
That was the one. Solid performance.
Actually, now you say we managed the game very well because I agree on that point because it's one of the first games I've seen this season where we actually were in front at half time and had to go out again and manage a game and saying, well, they don't have to, they shouldn't score against us, which they didn't. Despite us with the best defensive record in the league, despite that, I'd never felt that we've been in control of games, despite whether we were winning 1 or 2-0. And the Southampton game was one of the reasons I saw that we actually can control games and stick to a lead. And yeah, I think Southampton, and thanks for reminding me, was one of the first games I've seen this season where where we did what we had to do.
I think we have managed games, but at the same time, there's been this element of fuck-uppery that we've been, has come along. And the Leicester game last night was that. I think from what I saw, we controlled large portions of it, but then we really just screwed up with something we really shouldn't have. We didn't do the basics at a corner.
Mm.
In fact, it looked like 3 of our players ran into each other. It looked like Keystone Cops defending. And
Not quite. Not quite. If you look at that goal, whoever's number 23 for Leicester actually shoved Toby backwards into Dyer, causing him to fall over. But of course, Mason would never pick that up because he's worse than Wenger for seeing things.
Yeah, not the best ref, I have to say.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the Southampton game. Tottenham 3, Norwich 0. Kane also got one in that one, was it? Kane and Carroll got a goal again.
Exactly. That was nice. I was there. We played really well. That was one of those few games where you could actually call a walk in the park, if you ask me. That was one of those easy
We
wins.
were all over them.
Exactly.
This is one of the games I missed, and I do believe Marcel said I should just live on a coach after that because I was 2 games on a coach, 2 wins. I'm like bugger. 2 good wins as well, by the sound of it. So
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. Okay, after that, Watford 1, Tottenham 2, and that was the Odion Carlo scored a goal after, again, a little bit of fuck-uppery in the defence.
Yeah.
And then Harry Kane got a goal and somebody else.
Son.
Son. Lamela and Son.
Oh, yeah, that Son
Lamela
goal
and
was
Son, that one.
lovely.
Yeah, Lamela and Son.
Lamela and Son, yeah. I did see the Son goal, and I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I thought it was a nice little deft touch. Whether or not he meant it, I have no idea.
Oh, he did. It was a rare visit to an away game for me, and the Son goal was right in front of us. And he literally, the ball as it came in, you could just see he meant it. It was a touch of class.
And actually, I quite enjoyed the fact that it made Aurelio Gomez look a bit stupid after all of his bitching and moaning.
Having said that, we gave him a great resounding cheer, and we even sang the Gomez song for him.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Okay, so then Everton 1, Tottenham 1.
The Aaron Lennon breakaway, where we absolutely dominate and should have been 3 or 4-0 up at half-time.
I don't think we have played any half of football this season where we dominated as much as we did in the first half at Goodison. We should have been 4 up.
Yep.
The Woodwork was their best defender.
Indeed.
And yet they had Aaron Lennon score a goal. Of course, he had to score against us.
Yeah.
And then there was that Dele Alli goal, which was extremely nice.
That was a very good goal.
I think that was potentially worth his new contract all on its own.
Yeah, true.
Okay, and then we had the cup game against Leicester. That was one I did get to watch. I thought we were okay. A lot of changes. Wasn't particularly impressed by Carroll in midfield. A lot of people going on about how good he's been. I'm yet to see it, I have to say. He's reasonable, but not great.
He's distributing the ball nicely 3 passes before shot. Sort of, if you know what I mean. He's passing the ball quite nicely between the fullbacks and midfield, and will be providing it forward sometimes to Lamela or Son or Eriksson or whoever is playing in front of him and just behind the attack. I think he's actually doing that quite nicely. But we're not asking him to feed Harry Kane with nice passes, or we're not asking him to feed the wingers with deep passes behind the defensive line. But what he's doing is a lot of touches on the ball and a lot of short, safe passes that creates a bit of space. So he's not been magnificent, and he's not assisted or scored goals in like bundles, but I think he's doing the job that he's asked to do.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
I've got nothing against the guy. I just haven't been really impressed by him yet. I think when he first came in, when he played against Hearts in 2010, I think he came in, he had a really good weight of pass about him, and he seemed to have a good understanding of the game and what was happening. But recently, it's like, okay, some elements of that seem to have gone. The actual interesting passing he was doing seems to have just become more safe and a little bit more boring and not quite as actually damaging to the opposition as they used to be.
With all due respect to Hearts.
They were Hearts and they were shit.
Yeah, exactly. With all due respect, this is the Europa League in a game that we have to win, and Carroll could probably easily play for Hearts if he wanted to. And yeah, coming on there and saying, well, no pressure, mate. We got 10 other players on the pitch that'll be able to score against the shit team. I forgot the respect to Hearts, but never mind.
I think Harry Kane played in that game as well, so I'm not sure.
So we're fielding a young side against them. Well, they're still struggling to win against us. We did beat them quite thoroughly on aggregate as well, so, if I remember correctly. But coming on a game like that and saying, "Well, no pressure, mate. Just go out and do your business." Then, if you got no pressure, you're attempting these nice passes, and if you play against a team that's not used to flash passes, you're obviously going to look good because they're not going to expect and they're not going to cover the passes. But if you go into the Premier League, they're simply too clever, too quick. For you to shine in that way. So I think it's all about the circumstances where he's been played. That if he looks good against Hearts, it's just because the situation played to his abilities more in that case.
Yeah, I think for me, if I compare him to Onumar, I think Onumar's been much a better player for me. So,
but he's further forward as well.
Yeah, you can't compare Onoma and Carroll. I don't. They're completely different players.
I think, you look at them and there are definite things that you can compare. They're both young players that have come through the system.
Yes.
One of them.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, no, Carroll's played wide. Onumar's played wide. Carroll's had more time at other clubs and he's had over 100 appearances or something now. What, Onumar's got 7 or something?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Carroll's last loan spell was that QPR. Swansea, but I think on most of his loan spells, I think the managers didn't play him much. Then they weren't too impressed with him. I mean, obviously Pochettino sees things that we don't see in training, and he trusts him, and I respect Pochettino for that. But just from what I've seen from Carroll, I think he still looks too lightweight. And sort of coming to yesterday's game, but Dembele, a fully fit Dembele would have made a huge difference had we had Dembele instead of Carroll. That, I think is quite fair to say.
That's fair to say. I think Carroll's still learning his trade a bit as well.
Yes.
And this game time he's getting at the moment is not doing any harm at all. I don't think you can replace Dembele at the moment because he's become a very important player in the team.
But in terms of Carroll, I agree that right now he's not the finished product. But I don't think that the finished product that is Tom Carroll is going to be enough to play for Spurs, especially if we want to move forward. In my eyes, I'm thinking he's going to become someone as influential as Tom Huddleston was at one point for us, which means
Tom Carroll will be as influential as Tom Huddleston was.
Yeah, will be.
Really, I think he'd do very well to get to that level.
Yeah, I mean, Huddleston played a major part in the season we did qualify for the Champions League. He was a number 1 pairing with him and Modric, playing 4-4-2.
But who wouldn't be playing next to Modric, to be fair?
That's fair enough, yeah.
But Huddleston was he was probably one of the weakest links we had in the squad. He did play well, and I was sad to see him go. But we've got better players in since, and I think we'll see the same with Tom Carroll. He'll be a fringe player. He'll play a good game or two once in a while, and if he's happy with that, I'm happy to have him, and I'm be even more happy if I'm proven wrong and he turns into a world beater. But I think he's going to be a rotation player at best.
I think, considering the fact he's out of contract in the summer, I believe, I think Pochettino's taking a look at him now to see whether or not he wants to give him another contract. And I understand that we've made a bid for Dembele of Fulham, which won't be at all confusing. But that's supposed to be a player plus cash deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Carroll is that player.
Oh, that might be a good shout.
Where's that coming from, Stu?
It's coming from the BBC, I think. There was a BBC earlier.
Oh, so it's reliable then.
Well, it depends on who you listen to. There's something on that other website that we've occasionally all been on in the past.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still am.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't been allowed on that website for years now.
I'll have a look.
And I remember why, because when AVB was manager, I posted the picture of AVB and a dog, and saying one of them is a dog and the other one of them is a person who doesn't know what he's doing, and they banned me for that.
Well, that's one of the more interesting things I've heard.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a photo of a dog and a fairly useless manager. Work out which one is which. Okay, yeah.
that sort of thing.
That's definitely a banning offence. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I better watch my mouth because I'm actually still an active member. So yes.
Yeah, me too. And
Well, Stuart, you're still thinking that someone actually watches this?
Well, there are occasionally some we get like 7 views or something. I know. It's not. I think it's always other CADS, but never mind. Hey. Okay, so the last game, Tottenham 0, Leicester 1.
I want to go first on that.
Go on then.
So, tough defeat to take. Now, as we said in the match thread before, it's hard to tell whether it's good that the other teams didn't get as many points, or that the other teams dropped points, or if it's a bad thing because we could have put distance between us and them. But the game yesterday, I said before, 98 out of 100 times the Kane chance would have gone in. Now, I simply put it down to fate that corner in the 84th minute, our defenders slip at a crucial moment, and not only does that happen, but the ball lands on Booth's head and he puts it right in the top corner. I mean, you've got to be incredibly unlucky because we were the much better team for all of the game, and we never deserved to lose it. We should have won the game. We had much better chances. Lamela could have put one away. Kane should have put that one away. Alderweireld had a good chance. I think that was from corner as well. And I think there are a number of positives to take from it. And I think the game against Sunderland is going to be a big game because that's going to be a great test of our character and see how we can respond from a big setback like that yesterday. That was my 2 cents.
I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think we've had back-to-back defeats in the league under Pochettino yet. Can't remember any occasion where that's happened. It's not happened this season, certainly, but we've only lost 3 games, so it's, you know. But I think there is a nice amount of mental strength to decide some resilience in there. That, you know, the players will come back and they'll really want to, you know, put Sunderland to the sword. And Sunderland are a side I think that are very puttable when it comes to sword placements.
Scored 4 in their last away game.
Yeah.
JD scored a hat-trick, eh?
He did. Against Swansea, who just sold their best midfielder. I really don't get that. There must be something going on in the background there for them to be selling John Joe Sanchez.
I mean, you just said we only lost...
Shelby.
You just said we only lost 3 games this season. That's true, but we've drawn way too many, and of those that we have drawn, like both games against Everton, like the one against Stoke at home, those are games we should never have drawn, and we should be right up there with Arsenal and Leicester, if not ahead of them. But I mean, then again, it's not a game of buts and ifs, and you've got to take your chances, and it's really part of the learning curve, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
we're still a young team.
We're still a young team, and I still think we look to be improving as well. So as long as and you learn by mistakes as well.
Agreed.
And they're a very young team, and they're going to make mistakes. So you know there is going to be stuff. I really like the side we've got. I think this is probably one of the most likeable sides that I can remember seeing at Tottenham. The Champions League lot, there were some good players in there, but there were still players in there you felt, yeah, okay. But this current lot, I think these are the kind of guys I'd like to go out for a drink with and just have a good time. You think they're probably good at a party, but you know, in terms of likeableness, I can't think of a Tottenham side that's been more likeable. Marcel, you've been watching longer than any of us. Not to say you're old or anything, but can you remember a more likeable side?
Well, Greaves, Mackay, that lot, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But then that was my first side, you see. So I suppose I've got a place in the heart. But then we went through about 30 years of absolute crap, and we've sort of come back to that now. I'd say one thing though: it's great to have a goalkeeper who now is as good as Pat Jennings was.
Wow, big call. Big call, that one.
He is. He's as good as Jennings.
Excellent. Glad to hear. Hope he sticks with us. I think he will.
He will. He likes London. His wife likes London. I think that's the most important thing.
So what you're saying is he's going to make a Pat Jennings and move to Arsenal?
Well, probably when we don't want him anymore. That will never happen again. I can't see that happening again.
Yeah, well...
Touch wood.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so those are the league games that I've basically missed. I'm under the impression this season that the league's just a little bit crazy. There's been some really weird results.
Oh yeah.
You've got, like, looking at the last round of games, you've got Manchester United, one of the most boring sides, against Newcastle, who seemed unable to score goals, and that game ended 4-4. So, I think
3-3.
Was it 3-3? Okay, not quite as bad as I thought then, but still, 3-3, 6 goals in the game between an incredibly boring side and a side that seems unable to score is not a bad result, really. I mean, it's incredibly entertaining, but seriously, what the hell's going on this season? There's some seriously weird stuff going on.
Well, the Premier League is an unpredictable league as it is, but this season has been the most unpredictable ever since I can remember, because, I mean, obviously with Leicester shaking the whole league up, and City, I thought, after I think they won their first 5 games, they looked like they were going to run away with the league. And I don't know if it was us, but I think our game against them was their first sort of real big defeat, and that gave them a reality check. And unfortunately, this season it looks like it's Arsenal's to win.
Shut up! Don't say that.
Yeah.
I hate to agree, but I do. I'm afraid.
Now, I think the thing about the Premier League now is that there's so much money washing around in it that
and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, and a lot of smaller clubs have been able to buy some pretty good players, to be honest, and some pretty decent managers. Consequently, the gap between the top and the bottom is shrunk a lot, and at that level, the margins are very, really small between defeats and victory. And so you're going to get these kind of results because the clubs are that much closer together now. And I would say that even the bottom 3 clubs would make a pretty good fist in most of the European leagues. They'd probably be more than halfway up most of the European leagues.
Yes, and adding to that, with all the money coming in, a big difference is that the small clubs now don't have to rely on selling their best players to the big clubs. They can actually keep hold of their players. They can go out and say, you either pay the money that we want, or you don't get the player, as we saw with Berahino. 2-3 years ago, that would not have been the case.
Yeah, and also, if you look at, I mean, you've got a very small club in Bournemouth. I think they've got less than 20,000 capacity on their stadium. And they've just spent, 17 million on 2 strikers, Benikefobe and the guy... The guy they bought from Norwich.
Didn't they buy the Italian? Did they buy the Italian guy?
The Argentinian, Juan Turbe, yeah. That's cost them 19 million in terms of guaranteed transfer fee and loan fee. I mean, that's a stupid amount of money for a club that's first year in the Premiership, and they've already spent big on a couple of occasions. I can't ever remember that kind of money being spent. And then you've got Crystal Palace, who made a £19 million bid for Alexandre Lacazette of Lyon. Apparently they made a £24 million bid for Simone Zaza of Juventus. Seriously, where is all this money going to stop? Because it's just nuts, isn't it? We're going to see, what, a £120 million player over the summer, I'm sure.
Well, it's not going to stop. It's only going to get more. I saw a stat, I think Andreas is a man for stats, but I saw a stat that, I don't know if it was last season this season, but the club finishing bottom of the Premier League is going to get more money than the club winning the Portuguese league.
Yep, true.
I think even worse than that, the club that finishes bottom of the league this season gets more money than the club that won the league last season.
Yeah.
Is that true because of the new TV deal?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But doesn't that come into effect next season? I thought it wasn't even in effect.
I think it's the last season of the current deal means that the money's been going up and up and up each time. I think this time, the team that finishes bottom this season gets more money than the team that won the league last season.
Okay.
I mean, And we've all known that the league, but that's going to stop. You know, Champions League money is going to become less and less important because being in the Premiership is what's all important from next season onwards. We get what 100 million per club for being in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of statistics, I can tell you last time we lost 2 in a row was on the Pochettino.
Was it?
And I hate to remind you of this, but on May 3rd, we lost 1-0 against Man City at home. But we lost 3-0 at Stoke
That was
on the 9th of May. That's a bad day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
And we've already screwed up against Stoke this season, 2-0 up at one point, and they managed to peg us back. Leicester, we scored a goal. 5 minutes later, they scored their.
5 minutes was 30 seconds later.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to go off memory here. It's not always ahead. So, considering everything, the fact that the league is completely nuts this season, are we actually doing really well?
No.
That is a really tough one. That is a really tough one.
We're doing well because we're in 4th, but in terms of the games that we should have won, the games we should have lost, we're behind. There are a few.
Last season. No, sorry, 3 points now.
Yeah. I'm just going off the games that we've actually played and how we've looked in those games. Just take one example, is the Arsenal game. We should have won that one, despite the fact that it's a rivalry, it's 2 big clubs and lots of money. We were dominating them for 90 minutes, and we should have won that game. Or well, maybe it was 75, but never. But still, a game like that, we should win most of the times, and we still managed to get a draw, and that's just one example in a handful, 2 handfuls actually.
On the subject of that game, that was the game where everyone sat up and suddenly realised how important Lamela is to the team.
Yes.
Well, Lamela's grown, has to be said, and he's grown quite nicely as well.
Hugely improved this season. Hugely. I mean,
to think that
I was thinking about it the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we almost let him go out to Marseille on loan, I think. But I was thinking a few days ago, I was thinking, who would I want in the side more, Lamela or Ericsson? And at the end of the day, I think I want Lamela in the side more than Ericsson right now.
Yeah, Ericsson. I think this has been by quite a bit. This has been Ericsson's poorest season. I think he's not been up to standard, not up to his standards at least.
For this, we do have to apologise for our Danish correspondent here.
Don't worry, I have the
good
stats
things.
to back it up that he's better than some of your lot, so no worries.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, he's the highest number of assists in our team. And still scored 4 goals or something.
And he's one of the players with the most touches and one of the highest passing percentages.
Yeah.
So.
But then
that's not all we look for. We are Spurs, and we'd like some flair, and we don't like anonymity. And even if you do well and are anonymous, you're not really playing Spurs way, are you?
But stats don't tell the whole story now, do they?
I agree.
If a player plays a killer pass out to, I don't know, if Carroll plays doesn't have to be Carroll, but if a midfielder plays a killer pass out to a winger and he just squares it to Kane, it's going to be the winger's assist, although it's the player who played the killer pass who actually made the goal.
Yeah, so you're looking for the secondary assist stats, which I've been looking for but haven't found, I have to say. Okay. But if we're talking about stats, I remember last season, Lamela was the player that had more touches than anyone else, and everybody was going on about how poor he was.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's some kind of correlation here.
Might be.
Yeah, correlation but not causal, as you said.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so it's January. We're halfway through the month. Transfer chat, everybody. I think we've already touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned about this Moussa Dembele #2 and it being reported on certain sites, but I've just checked. I can't find anything concrete. Just the reposting of media speculation.
Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, it's only rumours.
Yeah. I was just looking at Spurs Community here on their ITK thing, and Hartyard has posted on Coys apparently,
Yeah.
saying that people were laughing when we turned down 12 million for Townsend, and he's suggesting that Leafy may have the last laugh now. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently there's a bit of a bidding war between Sunderland and Newcastle.
Oh,
Ah.
Let
Um,
that
and
does sound
following
nice.
on,
Yeah.
following on from that, he also goes on to say, though, sadly, when he asked about a striker, the answer was nothing.
Yeah, I think somebody said, hopefully the word is nothing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think,
I'd still like to challenge this because we talked about this in the August transfer window, and despite the rise of Harry Kane, are we actually sure that Pochettino wants an out-and-out striker? Are we sure that he doesn't just want players like Ng and Son to play up front and score the goals as well, and have a more complete forward three than a striker?
Well, I think if we're going to play somebody in that central role to score goals, I think that Chadley would be better than Son.
Yes.
Yep.
He's got an
Chadley did play up there last season, I think.
Yeah,
He played that position, and he was absolutely terrible. He was. It was a complete waste of space. The ball went up, the ball came back. The ball went up, the ball came back every single time. He didn't manage to control the ball a single time. So,
yeah, but in the cup game against Leicester, Son was pretty much the same.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that's the way we want to play if we're going to be playing with Son. I think we need to be playing the ball around and giving him balls to run onto, which is what we did against Monaco when he was playing, and he was extremely good.
Well, let's have a look at who Pochettino tried to bring in the summer transfer window, which was Berahino. And Berahino is a player who is nothing like Kane. He's a bit more, you could say, like Defoe. He's a small player, not very strong physically, and I can only think of Agüero as the only small striker who's capable of holding the ball up. So if we'd have brought in Berahino, how would he have fitted into the squad that we have? Would he have been a like-for-like, sort of, well, not replacement, but sort of a challenger for Kane's position? I don't think so.
I'm with you. I don't think Berahino was ever going to be a like-for-like replacement. I think the thinking was that he's played at under-21 level with him before up front. He's also played on the wing for under-21s and also played on the wing for West Brom. Admittedly, he's not been particularly good on any of those occasions. I didn't want him in the summer. I really don't want him now.
Same here.
I don't think he would be a particularly good transfer move for the club. And thankfully, it seems as though we've moved away from that kind of thinking. So,
yeah.
But in terms of big centre forwards, there's that Belgian guy we've been looking at a lot. I think he's a Genk.
He's a donkey.
De Poitre, is it? Laurent De Poitre?
He's awful.
That's what I've heard.
Was there
but then
also
you got
this guy from Marseille? Was it Marseille? Batuyashi or I can't.
Batshuayi, yeah, another Belgian.
Is that what Nick Xenanos was going on about? I think?
Yeah, well, he's made some good choices in the past, Nick Xenanos.
Oh yeah.
He seems to
normally people haven't heard of.
Yeah. Whether or not he's a football.
Are we happy with our fullbacks? Is Barry Mead going to join us?
Barry's never joined us. I think if we did, we'd just get into a conversation about right backs and left backs for the entire hour. So,
if we're talking our right and left backs, I am completely satisfied.
Yeah,
I am.
Me too.
We've got great talent in Rose and Walker, and we've got extremely. I think it's the best position that we have in terms of starters and covers. Might be the midfield as well, but still, I'm not missing Rose when Davies plays, and the same with Walker and Trippier. I'm not really missing the starting player when the cover is on.
Well, for left back, there is, I think, at the moment, Rose is the cover as far as I'm concerned. I think Davies is first choice, and I think rightly so. I think, as my dad pointed out as well, I think Davies was one of our best players against Leicester. And also, this is just my 2 cents, but Walker, I like him, but as we all know, he's prone to his cock-ups, as he showed yesterday. We got lucky there when he gave the ball to Vardy, as you might remember.
He gave it away a lot yesterday.
Yeah. Now, what I like about Trippier, I think that was one of the... I didn't watch Burnley much, and I didn't watch Trippier much last season, but what people were saying about him was that he's a good crosser of the ball, and I think we're starting to see that in the last couple of games he's played. He's put in some quality balls from the right, and I think he's a really good option to have as competition for Walker.
I think if Walker could learn from Trippier about how to put that ball in quickly, we would have a really, really, really high quality right back. And it's not something that's actually that difficult to do. It's just a little bit of mentality, because he dawdles on the ball when he gets in that position. You look at two players in the same position. Trippier gets the ball, he crosses it every time. Walker gets the ball, he'll wait for someone to make a run outside him. And you're like, yeah, you get that fucking ball across, you know.
Well, I wasn't keen on Trippier at the beginning, and it's taken
I'm
a
still
while.
not. I'm still not. I still think he's a little bit too fragile. He doesn't really stick up for himself too much.
But when I saw him against Watford, I realised then that he has got something.
He was playing as a wing back in that game, though, wasn't
he? Yeah, that we don't have full-backs. We only have wing backs, don't we?
I think when we play four at the back, we've got wing backs. So
when do we play four at the back? Hardly ever.
Well, no, most of the season we played four at the back. We just had Eric Dyer drop in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have a fixed four.
No.
Yeah. It's ostensibly a four, but often it's really flexible.
Against Watford, we played with three in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the first time that we we realised that we played three at the back. But I think quite often Dyer does drop back in between Vertonghen and Alderweireld, and that enables the fullbacks to push up. I think we've been doing that for most of the season.
Yeah. The other thing we've talked about before on this is the fact that Eric Dyer playing in that position means that Vertonghen can roam forward with the ball, or Alderweireld can go forward with the ball, and they know that they've got someone who's, of a good enough quality to slot back in defence and hold that position until they get there.
Yes.
True.
Which is very, very useful. A lot of clubs would like that kind of player, and spend lots of money trying to bring in that kind of player.
We also have the advantage. We can go three at the back because we have, in Vertonghen and Toby, we have two players who can actually play left and right back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do so for Belgium.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Now, I don't know about you, but at the end of the summer transfer window, I was mightily disappointed that we did not get a holding midfielder, but Dyer in that defensive midfield role has been a huge revelation in my eyes. Now, Pochettino obviously knew what he was doing. He knew that he could turn Dyer into the player he is now in that position, he surprised me, and I have to say that I don't think there are many better holding midfielders in the Premier League than Dyer, I have to say.
When we didn't sign a central midfielder to play alongside Bentaleb, I thought at the time, I was like, oh no, what's going on? We're in real trouble here. And when Dyer started playing in that position, I was like, this is never going to work. Obviously I've been wrong, because he's been brilliant this season.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether Poch isn't doing the same thing with the striker. Whether he's got somebody in the youth team who's bringing through, and maybe is on the point of coming in. A surprise like Dyer.
I've watched a few youth team games and I haven't seen anyone at that level. You've got Sharon Harrison, who looks pretty good, and then you've got Keziah Sterling, who looks like he could be the one, but he's only 16 years old. So
maybe he's not playing them in the games in that position at the moment, but there's a lot going on in training. You don't know.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if our next strikers come out of the.
Well, I would be as well. But then again, we were surprised with Dyer, so who knows what's going on behind the scenes.
But in the transfer window, we've been linked with Lookman from Charlton. Remy from Chelsea, which I think is definitely not going to happen because we don't sign players from Chelsea. And of course, Dembele Mark II. So I mean, apart from Remy, who is getting on a bit, I think he's 27 now. We're looking at young players.
Yes.
With all the emphasis on youth we've got, should we be looking at bringing someone with some experience, someone who's going to make sure that we don't lose games like the one we lost against Leicester or Newcastle?
Well, we had. I don't know. We had the chance. I'm sure that Pochettino had the opportunity to go for Charlie Austin. He decided not to. I think Charlie Austin would have been sort of the most natural number 9 with Premier League experience, who is gettable for us. He decided to go against that. I would have liked Charlie Austin as a backup to Kane. So I think Pochettino really goes by his principle of saying either we get the players that I really want, or I am actually happy to work with what I have. I think that has been his philosophy.
I think the thing with Charlie Austin is, yes, he was offered to Pochettino. Levy said he could get him, and Pochettino said he didn't want him. But the other thing is, apparently, he's one shoulder barge away from having his career ended. Okay. He's got a very dodgy shoulder by the sound of it, and one knock in the wrong way, and his career will be over by the sound of it.
All right.
Having said that, we've got a young team. We do need experience, and I think it shows the difference when we have Moussa Dembele playing.
Yeah.
He's 28. He's got experience, head on his shoulders, and we're a changed team when he plays. So maybe what we actually need is another Moussa Dembele.
Well, Alderweireld's not exactly young anymore, is he? He's 26, 27, I think. So he's got a fair bit of experience behind him as well, and he's come into the side. He's made a massive difference this season.
I just have to say something. I turned 30 yesterday, and this conversation is really, really hurtful.
Well, calling them older.
Talking about 26-year-olds getting on a bit. That's all right.
Yeah, well.
Well, in terms, I think buying youth in a way is it's a nice cheap way to get players, because you can get 3 for the price of 1 developed player, and if only 1 in 3 comes good and you can sell them for the developed player's price, then you're breaking even in that regard. It'll take a little bit longer, but as we've seen, lots of these kids can actually grow when asked to do so. Mason being a good example, and Kane another, of course. So buying youth players or young players, I don't think that's a bad thing, even just considering the sell-on price.
No, I just think there is a slight lack of experience within the squad, and I think if we brought in one player who could say, right, okay, this is what you need to do to win games, and this is how to avoid losing games, probably more importantly, stop those scripts. Yeah, the kind of impact that Scott Parker did have on the club when he came. If we could bring in one player to do that, then potentially maybe.
Is that what Poch should be doing?
Yes, it should be. But I think you look at defence ability throughout our entire club at the moment. Defence at the under-18 level looks abysmal. Defence at under-21 level looks abysmal. The best defence is at the first team level, and we're still screwing up the basics when it comes to corners and free kicks. The weakest we've been is at set pieces this season, I think.
Well, are we really? We've got the best defence in the league.
Yeah, and you look at the goals we've conceded, a lot of them have come from corners and set pieces.
Mr. Stat, is that true?
It is.
Oh, God.
I don't need to have a check now.
We have the best. Let me have a look. Let me check my stats. Defence. We've conceded 17 goals. That can't be right. Yeah, 17 goals this season.
And how many have been from set pieces?
No idea. I don't have those stats. It's not that good. All right, quickly moving on, because I know some of us have to go on and experience dates for the rest of the evening. Europa League. We got Fiorentina again. How many other people went? Oh, for Christ's sakes, when that got pulled out.
I did, to be honest. But we're taking it a lot more seriously this year, it would seem. last year it was more of an apathetic performance, I think. It was like we couldn't really be bothered to put up a fight, and we did get in front, and then we just kind of, oh well, let's play here and try and save some energy for the league. I think we're a bit more serious about it this year, playing on the logic that if we want to go to the Champions League, we should be able to have midweek games without a problem. So I think that we've improved in terms of play in the Europa League than last year, and we should have won those games, in my opinion.
I think we improved last season compared to the season before. I think we've improved a little bit this season, but not a lot.
Coming to that midweek games in Champions League, I think there's a huge difference between midweek games playing in the Europa League and playing in the Champions League, and I think it's got to do with motivation. I think the players are much more motivated when you're playing in the best European competition. You are going to give it your all, but I think that the players don't take Europa League as seriously as they would take the Champions League. At least that is my impression. When we've played in Europa League, I think I don't know if it's tactics or not, but we've played a lot slower and it's been a bit more pedestrian.
A lot of European games are a bit like that.
Yeah.
Fair
also,
enough.
there was, in terms of the switch between Europa and Champions League, in Europa League, you play on the Thursday, you get Friday and Saturday off, and then you play on the Sunday. But in Champions League, a lot of the time you play on the Tuesday and then play on the Saturday, but that gives you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. Or you play on the Wednesday and then you play on the Sunday. I think there's only like 1 in 6 games of your group games where you play on the Wednesday and then play on the Saturday. So you actually get a lot more an extra day of recovery time, which makes a fair difference to that kind of level. And also, the clubs you're playing are not way out in Moldova. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right, so
yeah.
Go on. I think, how far do people want to go in the Europa League if it means that it does affect our Premier League performance? Would people take that payoff if we take 5th but we get to the final? Not saying we win it, but would you take 5th and get to the final this year?
I think we have to push the maximum in both competitions, because if we want to do Champions League and move up a level, that's what we're going to have to do. So we need to see where we're falling short this season in order to improve over the summer and get to that next level. So if we don't know what we're capable of or not capable of, we don't know where to improve.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
Also, the teams we've got coming up in the Europa League from now on, they are better sides, and they're not out in Moldova or, where was it? Where did we go? Not
Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan, was it?
Azerbaijan, yeah. So you don't have that far to go in. Italy, Spain, it's going to be those kind of places we go to, not Azerbaijan, Moldova, Ukraine. Ukraine's still.
But Gordon Taylor loves those trips.
They're fun games, but they're not fun away trips.
I'm sure they're not.
I went to the Monaco away trip this year. To be fair, that wasn't particularly fun because it pissed it down with rain most of the time I was there. So, yeah, never mind. All right, so last thing, Dele Alli's contract. Is everybody happy about that?
Oh, yes. What a talent we have on our hands. Now, I really hope that we can keep hold of him. I really hope, because these days contracts don't actually bind players to the club. What they do is just increase their transfer value.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I think it is. So I do hope that we can keep him. I think if we manage to keep him, I think he could turn into one of the best English players we've seen for a long time. He's got all the talents. He's so confident. Is he 19?
Yeah.
His ability, his confidence, and his ability to read the game, his intelligence on the field is. I don't think I've seen that in a 19-year-old for a long time. I don't know if Cristiano Ronaldo was that mature at 19.
Definitely not. No.
No,
He's still not that mature.
I think we stand a better chance of keeping these players now because we have got a good young group who seem to be good mates with each other. I think that counts for a lot as well.
Yeah,
it does.
And you can see Eric Dyer and Dele Alli really get on. Dele Alli calls him his big brother, so that kind of thing definitely helps.
Yeah.
I think also we're rewarding players with contracts as they improve and on a regular basis as well. I mean, he had a 5-year contract basically, you know, it was 4.5 years now, but we've tripled his wages, more than that. He's up to £30,000 a week or something, whereas he was on 10 before. And he's gone from being a £5 million player to what, 25 million before this contract, and now he's going to be what, 35, 40 million if somebody wanted to buy him from us.
Yeah.
And I should think we get another contract in the summer as well when he goes to play for England. That's my call.
That's a really good point. That was one of my first things I thought about, other than thank God for tying up Dele Alli with a nice contract. But one of the first things I heard was, well, he's just signed. Why would you give him a new contract? And I think it's actually just an amazing statement to all the young people that if you do well and if you play well, we'll pay you for it. You don't have to find it anywhere else. And even if it's only after half a year, we'll still pay you for a good service and a good period to play. And I think that signal, sending that to the youngsters, is just as important as tying up Dele Alli on a nice contract.
I think this is something we have done. We've given Kane 4 pay rises in the last 2 years or something. Dele Alli's just got his contract. Apparently Dembele's been given a new contract.
Ericsson's been given one as well.
Dyer's been given one. Bentaleb's been given one. Yeah,
Bentaleb was pushing really hard for that. I think he got a very good deal out of that. I think the only one we're really waiting on is Jan Vertonghen, isn't it? He's the only one who's a real risk.
Didn't Hugo sign a new one in the summer?
Yeah, I think so.
He did.
He did, yeah.
When there were talks about Manchester United coming in.
Yeah, right. Nabil Bentaleb, what are your thoughts on that guy? Now, he hasn't featured at all. I think he's played about two games this season.
But he's been injured, hasn't he?
I know he has, but he was a big player for us last season. He showed a lot of potential. Still, whenever he plays in all the games he's played recently, he makes me nervous. He scares the shit out of me. Every time he has the ball, I think he's going to give it away.
For me, there were long periods of last season where I wasn't brilliant. I was quietly impressed, but not brilliantly impressed by him. He did well, and then that the League Cup final, whatever you call it nowadays, he was brilliant. He was the best player on the pitch for us. I thought, if he can do this on a more regular basis, we are going to be extremely happy with this guy. And then there was the whole problem during the summer, and he picked up an injury, and then he got fit, and he went away to play for Algeria without actually being properly fit, and he picked up the injury again. These things start to build up until he gets really pissed off with them. And he's come back, and he's been an absolute liability. He keeps passing to the opposition. There was a game against Liverpool last season where every single ball he played went to effectively the opposition forwards in a really dangerous position. And that was awful. And we've seen more of that from him this season. And I think he needs to get his head on straight and say, right, do the simple things and do them well, and then he'll be a really good player. Because he's got the ability, he's got the confidence to do things. He just needs to learn to do the simple things well at the start now again.
Before crucifying him, I think I'll wait to see him have a few more games under his belt first. Of course.
That's fair enough. I'm not crucifying him. I think he's an extremely good player. I just think he needs to settle down a bit. Because I
wasn't accusing you of crucifying him. I said I would do it.
Oh, okay. Well, well, when you crucify people, we definitely know about it, don't we? So
yeah, I've got the nails.
Hammers at the ready, some wood in the shed. Yeah. Again, I think there's a really good player in there. I just think he needs to settle down a bit again, and he needs to get games for that. And I'm not sure where he's going to get those games.
Yeah, Mason's
playing him ahead at the moment.
I mean, he's been right down the pecking order. I mean, Mason's been ahead of him, and I tell you what, I would have preferred to have Mason in the team yesterday than Carroll. I mean, Mason's been out for a while as well.
Yeah, he's been injured. still is injured. So.
Still is, yeah.
But it seems like we've got some players coming back from injury. Dembele's back. Pritchard's apparently back training with the squad. So things are looking brighter, I think, and hopefully, maybe we'll see some movement in the transfer window.
Possibly, I'm not sure. I don't think there will be, but.
But gentlemen, I think we need to call it a day at that, because we've been going for an hour now, and we've had a good run, and certain people have other people waiting upon them. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
See ya.
And if you want to watch this again, it'll be on YouTube later. Sam, nice having you with us.
Absolutely, I'll be there next time.
Are you going to the game, Sam, on the weekend?
No, I'm in Germany, but I'll be over on my own for the Swansea game. I think that's the 28th.
Yeah, I'll see you at Swansea then, because we're bringing the Belgians with me.
Oh, brilliant! All right, I'll let everyone know.
Okay.
All right, lads, take care.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
All right.
All right.
All the best.